So we're going to get into that discussion soon, but welcome everyone to our pod show for preventative mental health. We actually put this on because there's a lot of lies in society and we want to debunk them. We want to explore them and discuss them and have your comments on them too, okay? And also give you a bit of music to explain some of the lies too.
And also just look at the science behind some of these ideas and why we got to these ideas and how it affects us personally and what you as an individual can do.
Yes, because there is definitely hope.
There's always hope. There's always hope.
So as we're discussing, if you've got any questions or any comments, just pop them in the chat, or if you're listening later, you can put them in the comments and we'll answer them the following week. Okay, so, and don't forget we've got some music at the end, some really beautiful music, so stick around for that. Let's just jump into it. The questions that Christian never knows, by the way. Okay, all right, so. Yes, there are pages today. This is a good topic. No peeking. All right then. Okay, so I actually think that I'm going to be arguing against you a little bit for this one, because you said that the lie is that we've traded love for likes.
Yes.
So we actually need to sort of be clear about what we're arguing first.
Yes.
And also I'd like us to define likes.
Define likes?
Yeah, okay.
I'd like to do that.
Okay, so let's be clear about, so you're actually arguing what?
That we haven't let go of love. We haven't traded our love for likes.
Okay.
We want to keep the love.
Okay, all right. So that's what you're arguing. I think that I might be arguing the opposite, but we'll see how we go.
All right.
Okay, so what about likes? Let's have some definitions of likes. When we're talking about likes, what are we talking about?
Click.
Ding!
Feels good.
Yeah.
Somebody's got a thumbs up. Somebody's giving you a heart. Somebody's giving you something over the internet that goes, I like what you do.
Yeah.
And that feels so good.
Yeah. Okay. So that's usually on Insta, and of course it's on Facebook and a few other places.
Yeah.
But because I love the etymology of words, did look up the etymology of likes.
Likes, okay.
In the Oxford English Dictionary, the always definitive and go-to dictionary, 1612, when it was used as a noun, okay, and it actually meant regard, preference, and affection.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I can live with that.
Okay, you can live with that. Okay.
Yeah.
But now the contemporary understanding of it is positive reactions.
Yep.
Okay, and that's of course to posts and things like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Well,
So that's all. I just want to give you that little definition.
Okay.
All right. So we can't talk about likes without talking about dopamine, can we?
No, we can't.
So let's talk it.
Likes gives us a dopamine hit. Now,
Yeah.
dopamine is one of the brain chemicals that I talk about a lot.
Yeah.
And always when I talk about brain chemicals, please keep in mind that the brain is far more complex than saying that dopamine mediates pleasure, serotonin mediates calm, oxytocin mediates love, and endorphins mediate that feeling of togetherness.
Yeah.
It's more complex than that, but that's what I'll be saying. Okay.
Because your four go-to chemicals.
Yeah, it is. They're go-to chemicals, and it's really important here because dopamine feels so good no matter how we get it, and anything that gives us pleasure gives us a dopamine hit. So if you eat some strawberry, a chocolate, if you're experiencing love, if you're experiencing sex, if you're having a drug like amphetamines, if you have sunshine on your skin, if you are laughing because you are playing a game, or if you see a like on something that you've posted, you'll get a little bit of dopamine reward for that, and the brain goes, oh, that feels good. Could I have some more, please?
Okay, so you talked about the word reward, because so it's like a dopamine little hit of reward, yeah?
Yes, it is, yes.
So is our brain actually wired for rewards? Wired for rewards?
Our brain is wired for rewards.
It is?
Yeah. So we had a couple of late night lies on pleasure and pain.
We did.
The brain uses pleasure and pain to learn.
Okay.
To learn how to navigate an environment.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't like the pain, but pain tells us what not to do.
Yeah.
Right, which is why at some point I encourage people not to stay in pain. Okay. Pleasure, we like pleasure because pleasure feels good.
We love pleasure.
But often we take the good feeling of pleasure without learning from it.
Yeah.
Without asking, what do I actually like here? Now, in the limbic system, which is where we experience these emotions, and by the way, we have got no idea how a chemical like dopamine ends up in that experience of pleasure in our brain, because one is objective, the chemical, and one is subjective, I feel pleasure. We've got no idea how that happens.
Okay.
We've got no idea how that happens for oxytocin and all the rest of them.
Okay.
However, we know that it happens in your limbic system.
Okay.
And we do have a certain pathway, which is called the dopamine reward pathway. Okay, so dopamine basically manufactured in what's called the ventral tegmental area, and then it travels all through the limbic system, but particularly in the nuclear accumbens. I know that all sounds really sort of technical.
Nuclear accumbens.
That's right.
Okay.
The nucleus
Yeah, okay, fair
accumbens
enough, yeah.
is where we experience this dopamine hit. And anything that gives us pleasure gives us a little release of dopamine. So yes, we are wired for pleasure.
Okay, so but is it a short term, like is it just a little fix, or is it a long, like, do you know?
The nature of dopamine is that it's a short-term hit.
Okay, all right.
And it feels fantastic,
Yeah.
but then the feeling leaves. Okay, so if there's, so let's say you've taken an amphetamine. When you get off your high, there's often a post-high low.
Okay.
All right, and this happens a lot with drugs.
Yeah.
Okay, where you sort of go, oh, I just don't have the dopamine anymore. I'm feeling quite down. Okay.
And then you want more.
And then you want more.
How it becomes addictive.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the question is, how do I organize life so that I can have some short-term pleasures, but keep my long-term values in place?
Yeah.
And that's where love comes in.
It does.
That's where oxytocin comes
oxytocin.
in. That's where beta endorphins come
Yeah.
in. That's where a whole lot of other things, because dopamine will give you the short term,
Yeah.
but that short term burst is not enough to sustain a relationship.
Oh, we're going to go into that, are we?
Well, we can if you want, but I'm going to talk about love a bit more broadly. Love
Okay.
with friends, with children,
Yeah.
with parents,
Okay, good.
all of that.
Okay, so let's go into that scenario. Okay, so we wake up first thing in the morning. What do? We want our dopamine hit. And some of us, definitely me included, check our Instagram for our likes or whatever we happen to do, okay? It's kind of like cotton candy though, as Christian explained. It's a little bit more on the surface. It's not that long-term pleasure. So that's two things that happen. The other thing is, just as portrayed in The Social Dilemma, which is a fabulous documentary,
Yep.
we feel sort of let down if we're actually not fulfilled by that dopamine hit. Well, we didn't get enough likes or whatever it happens. So there's two things happening, or can happen. So this actually can't necessarily be good for our brain or our thought life, can it? Okay? For our brain, this kind of like just getting up and saying, okay, I need some more cotton candy now, and just give me more and more and more of that. But we're all caught up in this treadmill.
Actually, I'm going to use that to answer a question that came up last week about
Okay.
what do we do about the fatigue.
Okay.
All right, because we were talking about lockdowns, the coronavirus,
Yeah.
how to handle your mental health there. And somebody asked a question about what do I do about fatigue? And
COVID fatigue.
COVID fatigue, yeah. And because I was thinking about somebody that I know called David, who's a healthcare worker, I thought, my gosh, is this the David that I know? So, but we all have this fatigue, and in a sense, it could be called dopamine fatigue.
Oh, okay.
Because let's go back to what you were saying. You get up in the morning, you're checking your news feed, you check all your posts, and somebody's giving you some likes overnight
Yeah.
or whatever, and that makes you feel good.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, good, I've had a hit, and I can get on with life. And life then gets organized in dopamine hit, frustration. How can I get another dopamine hit? And these dopamine hits keep us going.
Yeah.
But if we rely just on that dopamine hit, then we get fatigued, because all of a sudden in a COVID world, these dopamine hits don't mean as much. Plus, we're not getting into the office as much, so we're not getting those same sort of dopamine hits. So I suppose to overcome dopamine fatigue and reliance on dopamine to get us through this COVID fatigue, look to oxytocin. Look to the underlying love. Look for things that are more substantial in your life.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right, so you're giving us a little bit of a hint of the hope, I believe.
Well, I am. I am. But we tend to rely on getting up in the morning, looking at feeds, and getting a hit from that. It's like a bit of a cup of coffee. It does give you a buzz.
Yeah.
But those buzzes don't mean as much anymore.
Yeah.
Okay?
Because of COVID.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so we're actually just, it's even emptier because of that.
Yeah, it is, because we're not sure if we're going to get back to life the way it was. Okay, the brain's sort of saying, hey, what's happened to all these dopamine hits? What happened to that promotion that I'm going for?
Yeah.
What happened to that person that I used to see and have coffee with? You know, I'm not getting those dopamine hits. And so we've got to look, okay, and I suppose this is my point of view, but if we look for something a bit deeper to keep all of our values in check, right? And there, we can still have our short-term dopamine, but it's got to be on this underlying substance of our life, that we feel that we are moving forward into a future and that our life has meaning, even here and now, and not just building dopamine hits.
Yeah, okay. So it's hard. And so you're saying it's actually exacerbated by COVID. So a lot of us are indoors, okay, and we're isolated, or we're in lockdown even, some of us, okay. And so we've only got this little world. We've only got this screen world, some of us, to get that dopamine hit.
We do.
Okay.
We do. But the thing is there that, okay, you can say watch a movie or watch a series or listen to some music, and they will give you dopamine hits. But if you watch 10 in a row, if you watch movie after movie, you'll get to the point where you go, you know what, I don't know why the hell I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And it doesn't give you the dopamine hit.
Yeah.
Because you have dopamine fatigue. It feels good to watch a movie after you've done a week's work and you say, I've achieved something, I deserve some time off, then I get my reward. And then the brain has that reward pathway. And it's like you veg out in front of something and you just enjoy yourself and you go, Christian, you've done a good week's work, you enjoy yourself. And that feels good.
Okay, so it connects the two.
It connects the pleasure and the purpose.
And therefore your brain's happier.
Brain is much happier
than just getting cotton candy all the time.
The brain was built not to get pleasure. The brain was built to navigate an environment. So in other words, your brain is wired to solve problems, to move forward somehow, and it uses pleasure to help you do that. But take away that purpose, take away navigating an environment and how am I going to get through, your brain actually becomes unhappy.
Okay.
Your brain is wired to learn.
Okay, and there is that emptiness too, isn't there? Because even if we have like a technology-free day or something like that, there's it. Oh my gosh, there's almost it's almost a hangover. You need it. You feel this desire for it. You can get over it, but
So Caroline's brought up the idea of a technology-free day because that's what we do.
We do
once
on
a
Sundays.
week. We try to shut down for
everything.
one day.
Screens,
everything. Screens. And in the morning, you know what? It's difficult. You feel that there's something missing.
Yeah.
But then, for a start, we start talking together a bit more.
We do.
We talk.
I'll
talk about Sunday mornings. Sunday mornings are actually very important. But also, we go out in nature.
Yeah.
You busy yourself with something like gardening or reading or something else that has a certain meaning. So it's not giving you a short-term dopamine burst, but it's got this long-term flavor about it.
Yeah.
And your brain feels more satisfied. Okay.
More complete and
that's
more,
a good word,
a deeper sort of a
it's a deeper engagement with the world. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. But I'm just still staying with this idea of the dopamine hit before we go into the oxytocin. I'm just want to unpack the idea of the like psychologically.
Yes.
So is that like that we're getting, or is it different for everyone else? Is it about popularity or admiration or acceptance? I guess it is different for everyone else.
But it's all those things. It is popularity, it is reaching for fame, it's sort of feeling that people out there are actually listening to you, and that all gives us gratification. But here's the weird thing. Never in the history of humankind has this existed.
It's true.
It's only the last couple of decades. It's very, very new.
So it's hard to navigate then because it's so new.
That's right.
Yeah.
And what marketing psychologists do, because their aim is to make money out of all of us online, is they know how the brain works. They know that we want dopamine hits. They know that we will go for dopamine hits. So they will do anything that it takes to keep us online longer. Now, a like, let's say 150 years ago, was somebody saying, well done, that was really good. But you see, that like would have been with somebody actually telling you words, looking you in the eye and perhaps giving you a little touch.
Yeah.
So it actually became more than just admiration. It became an experience with a person. You actually engaged with that person. So right there, between the eyes, a lot more happens than just a dopamine hit.
Yeah, okay. And it's become even more about the marketing psychologist, isn't it? Because Instagram have just changed their little heart on some of our accounts to a shopping basket. So we just can press on that. It's right down where the actual heart was.
So it was actually where the
it
light
was replaced. Yes,
Yeah,
it was actually replaced.
So that's marketing psychologists knowing that you will, just by habit, go down to that area.
Yeah.
Because that's what the brain does. And some people will press it automatically. Some people will press it by mistake, and it will take you to an area. But they are leading us into an area that they want us to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's manipulation.
Well, manipulation, yes. And I suppose the way through it is to understand what's going on and make choices.
Yeah.
That's what we're finding is important, making choices that you want.
Okay, so what about fake likes?
Fake likes?
Okay, yeah. Well, you can get fake likes. You can get a bot, and you can get all these likes from the bot, and you can get followers, and you can do all sorts of things. Okay. So, do they still satisfy? I'm going really into the psychological here, though, but I'm really interested in what you've got to say about this. Can we actually trick our brain into thinking, you know, that lie, which is actually a fake like, is a like? Can we get satisfaction from it?
Well, our brain will take a like and say, oh, good, somebody approves of me. So if it's a robot that's doing that, we will feel the like. So in other words, we will get the dopamine pleasure because we go, oh, somebody, we believe, likes us. But when we find out that it's a robot and not a person, there's no oxytocin behind it.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Okay? Whereas let's say you put up a post and let's say somebody who's closely related to you likes it. And you go, oh, such and such has given me a like. You don't just feel the dopamine hit, you feel, oh, it's that person.
Yeah.
So I've made a bit of a connection with that person.
Yeah.
And so there is actually some oxytocin because you have a real relationship with that person, even though it's over the internet.
Okay, so let's talk about oxytocin now. So it's mediated more, though, in person than... You just said it, you can actually still get it from a screen.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about oxytocin. Oxytocin, science has discovered, is the chemical that mediates feelings of love. The way that we did that was we measured people's oxytocin levels, let's say in birthing suites, where there's a lot of emotion.
Yeah.
Okay. And then there's a story of the the scientist who at her wedding said, don't bring me any presents, give me blood. So when everybody turned up, she took blood from everybody, right? Measured their oxytocin levels. Then they went through a bit of a meal, then they went through a whole lot of things, and the ceremony started. She arrives in the car, she gets walked down the aisle, there's a few readings, and then just at the point where somebody's about to say, you may now kiss the bride, stop everything, more blood from everybody there. Okay. What she was measuring was oxytocin. She had the highest oxytocin rise. Friends had the lowest oxytocin rise. Family had a good oxytocin rise. Mum and dad, they had a big oxytocin rise. And the other person who had a really big oxytocin rise was
the groom.
And just as well, because if he didn't have that oxytocin rise, he'd never lived it down.
Oh, big trouble. Gosh.
So what that experiment shows, and that's a published paper, by the way, that blood oxytocin correlates with feelings of love. Okay,
nice.
So it's a good experiment.
Yeah. Okay.
So yes, when you fall in love with somebody, oxytocin is something that is released, but it gets developed the longer that you're with that person and the more attached you become. Okay, so let's say our first attraction is based on sex hormones, testosterone. I like the look of that person, all right, and that person arouses me. Then the next stage is attraction, so that's lust. Okay. Attraction is based.
Attraction is lust.
No, lust.
Lust is okay. It's the chemical reaction from
lust is a chemical reaction.
Sorry, yes,
where you can sort of go, okay, I can take any of those,
all right. Make
attraction. That's right. Yeah. So attraction is when you go, that person that person's for me, right? That attraction is mediated more with dopamine and serotonin.
Yeah.
In fact, the reason people make, let's say, some strange choices when they first fall in love, okay, is because serotonin levels actually go down.
Oh.
So you actually feel, oh my gosh, you know, sort of my life is off balance. But it feels so pleasurable, and that's the dopamine.
Dizzy feeling, that dizzy falling in love feeling.
The more you're together, the more that you feel that you belong together,
Yes.
the more attached you become. That's the third phase, attachment. That's when the oxytocin really kicks in, all right? And so the basis of your relationship becomes oxytocin with, of course, some dopamine pleasure hits
Yes,
because you're
yes.
enjoying things, all
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
But that's more of a long-term thing, that feeling of love, that feeling of we belong together. Oxytocin, so it's in all relationships. It's not only in somebody that you're physically involved with,
Yeah.
but also parents, children, friends, okay? That feeling of that person's special to me,
Yeah.
that's mediated, as far as we know, by oxytocin.
Okay, so there's that initial falling in lust with someone.
Falling in lust, yes.
But then it doesn't turn into a falling in like with someone. It actually turns into a fall. Oh, well, it does. You think it does?
Attraction.
Yeah, with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it fall into a falling in love, which is the real oxytocin that we're all looking
Which
for.
is attachment.
And which is a long-term thing.
It's a long-term thing, and actually we are all looking for this long-term thing, right?
Okay.
Which is why I'm arguing that we have not traded our love for likes.
Okay, all right. So come on, tell me about that.
All
then.
right, so a few studies.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so people in their 20s especially, one of the biggest concerns of their life is, will I find somebody
Yeah.
to share love with? Okay, now let's go to everybody who is basically an adult. Either people are wanting to know what they can do to have and find a long-term relationship,
Yes.
or they're in a long-term relationship, wishing it was better, trying to iron out problems, but trying to make it work.
Yes.
Or they have broken up from a relationship, or they're grieving because somebody has died in that relationship.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're either left with the memory of the relationship or wishing they still had that relationship.
Yeah.
Okay?
So it's all relationship.
It's all relationship. Less than 1% of the entire population go through life without that being an issue. Now that's really small.
Wow.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's an issue for basically everybody except monks and hermits, right?
But they've got relationship too, a different kind of
Well,
relationship.
yeah, but I'm talking about personal relationships, sort
okay.
of wanting to be together with somebody special,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There are not many people who don't want that. Okay, so that's why I'm saying we're not going to trade our love for likes, because if you get onto a computer and you get likes for whatever you post, or you enjoy whatever movies on there, if you are alone, all right, when you stop that, it feels so empty. It's a difference between watching a movie by yourself or with somebody.
Yeah, such a difference. Then you've got laughter and you've got all sorts of banter, and that's
right.
all those other brain chemicals
It's all
happening.
those other brain chemicals.
And we're trying to aim for that post-COVID.
Yes,
yeah.
we are.
Yeah, that's what
and
we
even,
want.
even during COVID.
Yeah.
Right? Because COVID is a tough time. It's
Yeah.
a really tough time. But we're all going through this tough time.
Mm.
So if you're able to connect with people and talk about that tough time and just spend time, then you're sharing the oxytocin and the togetherness of laughter, maybe even crying,
Yeah.
but you're doing it with somebody.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'm going to do a little bit of a segue into the hope section,
All right?
if you feel that we're up to that now too. Are you feeling that?
I'm feeling the love.
You're feeling the love?
I'm feeling the love. I'm feeling the hope.
Nice love song coming up. Okay. So you talked about things in the past that people would get love from because they didn't get the immediate dopamine hits from likes, okay?
Yes.
And you talked about being with people.
Yes.
So I was thinking of some things this morning. What were some of those things that we could substitute for those likes that I actually feel quite strongly about, you know, that actually, well, now gives me the oxytocin and a little bit of dopamine too.
Yes.
So I was thinking like a hug from a friend that holds you, that doesn't let go, that one of those hugs you get and they just hold you for a long time. Yeah. Or your mum calling up to us, say, you know, how are you feeling, sweetheart? Okay. Now, not everyone has a mum that does that. I'm aware of that, and that's just one example, okay? The licks of a dog all over your face. A hunty. But that's
A hunty, we
there's
love
got to
our
be
hunties.
definitely oxytocin happening there.
Most definitely.
And a long-term, a long-term love, really.
A long-term love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even a love partner that tells you, even if you keep hurting them, that they will still love you.
That's very nice.
But that's real love.
Yes, it is. Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
it's more than a like.
Yeah, it is. It's much more than a like.
Yeah.
It can be life-changing.
Yeah.
Whereas a like is not life-changing. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Anyway.
beautiful.
Okay, so segue into hopes.
Hope.
Yeah.
All right. I want you to imagine a world without the internet and without computers, right? How did we get our dopamine hits?
Yeah.
We got our dopamine hits by talking with people, by patting dogs, by going for walks, by going to the beach, by playing games, okay?
Yeah.
Actual board games, and
Yeah.
all of these things. And all of these things did give us dopamine hits,
Yes.
right? Trouble is, once the internet comes along, all of those things that I just mentioned fade in comparison to the dopamine hits that a screen can give you.
And it's addictive and moreish and all that.
It's addictive, it's moreish, and just think of some of the movies, okay? Movies have been getting bigger and bigger and bigger,
Yeah.
okay? Just watch a movie from the 30s, watch a movie from the 50s and from the 70s and the
Yeah.
90s. Okay, it's just been getting bigger and bigger. They're giving us more and more dopamine hits. So the thing about a screen is that all of a sudden, playing with that dog or being licked by that dog just doesn't quite do
Yeah,
it
it
as
doesn't
much
quite
as
cut
that.
it, yeah.
Or even being with people, all right?
Yeah.
And this is what's really hard, because let's say parenting is a lot of work.
Yeah.
When you've got a 2-year-old child that's having a tantrum or something, it just doesn't feel good. And it's like, can I please get this person to sleep so I can get back to the dopamine hits, because
Yeah.
this doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Even when you're arguing with somebody,
Yeah.
be it a child or a love partner, there is still oxytocin there because you're in relationship.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
good.
it is,
Yeah,
because you're
yeah.
arguing for a reason. You're arguing because you want to get on with this person.
Well, there's a lot flowing there, isn't there? Because you're in that heightened state.
That's right, that's right. And sometimes I've got to duck because some of the things that are flowing.
Never.
Never, no, okay. All right, but oxytocin is still flowing.
Yeah.
But the dopamine and the serotonin are a bit low because an argument feels horrible.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's part of your relationship.
Yeah.
And it's part of your long-term values in life. Short-term feels horrible. Long-term, when you get through an argument, and it doesn't matter if it's with a parent, a love partner, or a child, you go, oh, this is so good. We understand each other better now. And that actually feels so good.
Not all arguments end that way.
No, unfortunately not. No,
Yeah,
that's true.
yeah. I mean, that's a good argument.
That's a
It's
good argument.
healthy arguing.
That's right.
Gets to that point. But yeah.
So the hope is, particularly during the COVID time, to get back to some of the ways that we used to get our dopamine hits.
Okay.
So spending time in nature, spending time gardening, spending time playing silly board games, spending time with friends, and this is an important study that's actually just come out that basically says the problem is not the internet. The problem is how you use it.
Okay.
So I'm going to go to Facebook versus Messenger.
Okay.
Right? You look at your friends on Facebook, they post up all their arguments when they've been hurt and how they feel down.
Oh, yeah, right.
That's exactly right. Nobody posts that
No
sort of
one.
stuff. They post, look what I've done here and I've achieved this and such is loving me and I feel
look how
good about
gorgeous
this.
I look
That's
and
right.
all
And
of
here's a
that.
new outfit and a whole
Yeah,
lot
yeah.
of things. And we look at Facebook and we go, oh, my life is not looking that good.
Yeah, it's comparison. Yeah.
And we all do this.
Yes, we do it.
So here's the thing about comparisons. Try not to compare your inside life with somebody's outside life.
Yeah.
Okay?
So good.
And on top of it, you're looking at somebody's page and you're not interacting with them. All right? You're just
True.
looking at pictures of them.
It's true. Yeah.
Let's go to Messenger, also part of Facebook, yeah?
Yeah.
Right. On Messenger, you type away a message, and all of a sudden, you're looking at these three little dots jumping up and down, and you're getting a message back, okay? So, in other words, you're actually interacting with somebody else that's actually there.
Yeah.
And you'll feel, oh, that's nice, they're getting back to me straight away.
Communication.
It's communication,
Yeah,
so that's why there's oxytocin there.
Ah, okay, good.
You're actually interacting with somebody, they're getting back to you, they send you some stupid GIF, you send them some stupid GIF back,
Yeah.
you say something dumb, somebody else joins in the conversation, all of a sudden you're laughing.
Yeah, it's good.
Right?
It's good stuff.
And that use of the internet is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's the comparisons and doing stuff by ourselves that lead us into loneliness.
Yeah.
So use the internet, use it to connect with other people. So I've got this friend, no surprises you, I know, but we've both got busy lives, and sometimes to sort of say, look, when can I get together with you is really difficult. We're sort of battling to schedule, other things get in the way, and then finally we go, right, I will see you 9:30 Monday, all right? And we get together and then we just spend an hour. And what do? We just chat. We just talk about garbage sometimes. Sometimes we challenge each other. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we just say, did you hear this? We laugh together a lot because once you've dedicated some time with somebody, all that you have to do is spend that time with them.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything. You don't have to be involved in something. You can if you want. You can watch a movie together if you want. But it's just being with that person. So here's the hope. Just spend time with people. If it's a friend, go to have a coffee, or if you have to do it over the internet, then do it over the internet. But just spend time, even if you're not talking terribly much.
Yeah.
A parent or a child, just spend time talking absolute crap, right? This world is full of a lot of crap, but we laugh with a lot of crap like that. Or if you just share a drink with somebody, it feels good just being there.
Okay, and so if we're isolated and in lockdown, a phone is better than just looking at a Facebook post.
If you can see somebody and hear somebody, that's already better.
Even Zoom, yeah?
Zoom is fantastic.
Yeah.
If you can just hear somebody, that's already good, because the tone of voice, your brain sort of hones in on what those little things mean.
Yeah.
One of the biggest challenges for a brain is to meet another brain and to try to work it out, okay? Anyway, that's a whole new thing.
Yeah.
And this brings me to Sunday mornings.
Sunday mornings, yes. Technology-free Sunday mornings.
Technology-free Sunday mornings. But
when you're in withdrawal.
well, but even before you get into withdrawal, let's say you wake up and you are beside the person that you love.
Yeah.
To have a few hours where there's nothing to do, no pressure on your time, no feed that you're going to have to go to listen to, no work that needs to be done that day, no children that need to be taken care of. You just laugh together, touch together, talk together, maybe share a few secrets, share a few ideas, share a few dreams about the future, but you end up in this timelessness.
Yeah, timelessness is the best,
And that just feels so good. It just feels so good. So with your love partner on a Sunday morning, with a friend over Zoom or over a coffee, with your parent or your child, sometimes you have to work things out, but sometimes you just spend time. Or with a colleague, just having a beer together.
Yeah.
Or patting a dog, because a dog will always love to be with you. You're just spending time. There's no agenda. You're not networking. You're not trying to see what you can get out of this relationship.
Yeah.
You are just spending time. So that is heaven.
Yeah. So for those people that are really task-oriented and feel that they always have to have some sort of purpose, and that we need that. Our brain needs that break too, doesn't it?
It needs the break.
Yeah.
But it needs that oxytocin. It needs that feeling that life is just right here and now with this person. It feels meaningful. It feels purposeful, and you feel fulfilled. Yeah. So in other words, you feel your love tank.
Yeah, you feel your love tank. Yeah.
Filled up.
Filled up. Good.
Yeah, that feels great.
It does. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is the time now for a little bit of housekeeping. So if you've got any questions about what we've been talking about, or any comments, if you've got suggestions for more love to give to other people that's not just a dopamine hit on a screen, share them with us. We'd love to hear what they are, and we'll read them out and everything. But I think we've got a comment here. Yeah. Okay, so someone said, so teen girls rely on large doses of oxytocin with Facebook likes. Yeah. I think referring to the
dopamine hits.
Yeah, to the dopamine hits, that you get. And also, I mean, there was that scene in Social Dilemma where there was a young girl and the kind of satisfaction.
And I got to say, this is not to blame anybody, okay? This is because this is human nature, all right? The dopamine hits work. That's why we're all addicted to the internet.
Yeah.
And why we all need to work. And it takes effort to move away from that and move towards something else that's, dare I say it, more wholesome, more oxytocin based.
We actually have to practice it, don't we?
Yes, we do. And we've even got a study to show that it takes effort. You have to actually make a decision and say, okay, I am going to do this. Because to reach out to another person, it's hard work.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
A computer screen is not going to disagree with you. In fact, it agrees with you far too much.
Yeah, that's the
You're
problem.
not going to end up in an argument with a computer screen.
Yeah.
Right? It's much, much easier. They're the sort of things that can happen with other people. But that's also why the oxytocin that you share with somebody feels so good when you get over a problem.
Okay, good. All right, so have you got some oxytocin for us now?
I do.
With some music?
I do.
Good.
It's a love song, strangely
Yay.
enough. But okay, so the Franz Liszt work from 1850 is part of the Romantic era. And how did the word start? Love, 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 all right? So they used to get out there and say it, but we live in a society that does not use those words because too many people have been hurt by love. But what I find in my office is that people still want the love. When I talk to people whose lives are falling apart and I say, what do you want in life? Invariably they'll say, I just want somebody to love me and for me to love in return. I have never said heard somebody say that they don't want that, okay? Wow. So we want the love, but because there's so much hurt out there, that's another podcast, the word love is not used. So this love song is the love song of the 20th century. It is Snow Patrol Chasing Cars. And we're doing it in a way so that you can listen to the words, because the words are like the Sunday morning, just lying in bed, shutting the world out, letting it go by, and just spending time with you. It's the most played British song of the 21st century.
Wow.
And it talks about this time, and it is a love song that became so popular, first of all, because it's a love song without a dark twist, right?
Yeah.
Nothing happens that goes wrong in this one.
Yes.
And we love it.
Yeah.
We actually love,
really appeals to us.
to work out.
Yeah.
Chasing cars.
We'll do it all. Everything on our own. We don't need anything or anyone. I don't quite know how to say how I feel. Those 3 words, they're said too much enough. Before we get too old, show me a garden that's bursting into light. Let's waste time chasing cars around our heads. I need your grace to remind me to find my own. This has been Dr. Caroline Heim and Dr. Christian Heim for Late Night Lies. We'll see you next week.